I decided to do a quick little live, So, I'm gonna go do my early morning workout. Haven't went to the gym in the AM in a minute, but nevertheless, let me just speak on a certain situation. As I said before, and as I stated, and the proof is in the pudding with one Javante, whatever you want to call him, Tank Davis, and what a fake attention seeking cornball he is. Tank cannot stand to see other dudes get any type of shine. For some reason, he just came out of nowhere and dissed Adrian Broner. After making an appearance on the podcast, he turns around and say AB ain't never gonna be a champion ever again, and this, that, and the third, and just constantly goes on the attack with Adrian Broner, a dude that is taking up for him, who basically, to a certain degree, he brought Tank to Floyd. Now, whether Tank and Floyd is, dealing with each other right now or anymore, whatever you want to call it, Tank did become a very popular fighter. And, you know, and basically he was joined at the hip with Adrian Broner at one time. They were supposed to be close, and then all of a sudden, this is what Tank does. He turns on people. And as I said before, this is the problem that a lot of people, including myself, have with Tank. Now, I know the Tank fans go say, do you think Tank care what you think about him? I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm going to say what I think about Tank. And Tank just conducts himself as a resident hater, who hates when other people get shine. And the thing is with Tank, I told you Tank only does this with black men. He has it in for other black men, just like a lot of these other fighters do. I told you these fighters don't never, have the same energy, and particularly the black fighters that they have for other people. They want to be lenient towards them, passive. But then when it comes to the brothers, they get all aggressive. They start getting all amped up and, all that kind of stuff, talking big and bad, you know. But they don't show that type of disrespect towards the others like they do the brothers, just like I'm gonna tell you another hater is Gary Anton Russell. Dude is a straight hater. And then when you question them and you say, hey man, how come you always doing this stuff with, and particularly black men? Then they get mad and say, oh, well, boxing is, no, it is about race Negro. Come on, man. Let's not play these games. But Tank, he just does this on a regular basis. And how can you call a dude like that a friend if you AB when he basically turns on you at the drop of a dime? They just really asked AB about Tank's situation, and AB took the hot road, but I guess Tank took it the wrong way as usual, and then Tank starts doing what he does best under his burner account and starts like talking crazy. But at the end of the day, this is what Tank does. Tank thought that boxing wasn't gonna survive without him, and that boxing wasn't gonna move on. Boxing always gonna move on. There's always gonna be the next guy that steps up to the plate that becomes, you know, the face or one of the more popular boxers. I feel right now there isn't really a definitive face in boxing because people will say Canelo is the face of boxing. Not to me, and for obvious reasons. Do you think I wake up in the morning worrying about Canelo? No, I'm just gonna keep it 100. Somebody got to say this. So there's a difference between being the so-called face and then being the best fighter on the planet. Right now we're still kind of searching for who is the definitive, mythical pound for pound fighter. Some people say is anyway, some people say is Usyk, and then based off Usyk's last performance, Lord, some people have Shakur. So Devin's in the conversation, David Benavides. So it's just not no definitive, pound for pound guy. But nevertheless, and the funny thing is, Tank, as popular as Tank isn't in really nobody's pound for pound discussion. for obvious reason because of his resume and a lot of other things, So, well, I don't think Boots is the best fighter on the planet. I think Boots he uh he got a little ways to go before we can make that argument and that assessment about him. Now, I do think he's in the pound for pound conversation, but I think he needs to do a few more things. I think if he can become undisputed and then, and then win a couple of more titles, at 160. I think when it's all said and done, Boots is probably going to finish his career probably at either 168 or possibly 175 because Boots is a legitimate, 5'10", 5'10", 5'11". So, but not yet. I don't have Boots as number one pound for pound, but he's in the pound for pound discussion, you know. But we got to see Boots, you know, um, how he looks in his next couple of fights. So I'm being fair. But anyway, let's continue with one Gervonta Davis. This is his history. This is his history. I've never seen nobody. Your guess is as good as mine. Your guess is as good as mine. And then, quiet as kept. Quiet as kept. I don't think Tank wants it. I've told you about Tank. He ain't as confident as he wants everybody to believe. And then now you've seen Tank say he want Devin Haney next to, oh, well, Devin Haney fight ain't gonna happen till next year. then he says now he wants to fight Jesse Rodriguez. Okay, so that just goes to show you Tank is just a dude that's attention seeking. How could you even? I don't even think that fight could be made. I mean, even though Jesse Rodriguez, bam, said, "Hey, let's do it if we can find." Listen, this is the same thing they were talking about with the Anyway. And the funny thing is, last year when I went to watch Anyway fight, and the fight where he got dropped, Top Rank had already said that a Tank Anyway fight would never happen, that they would never put him in the ring with Tank. So I don't think a Bam Rodriguez Tank fight would ever happen. I don't think it would ever come to fruition. But that just goes to show you that Tank is just seeking attention. And to me, that's just what you would call female tendencies and shit for the most part, where you desperately want people to just constantly look at me, look at me. Why isn't anybody talking about me? Listen, you have to understand something. Boxing is gonna move on from Tank, and they moved on swiftly. When Tank retired after that controversial, fight with, you know, um, with Roach, nobody wasn't really tripping off Tank retiring. People was like, okay, cool. We still had Bud at the time, so nobody wasn't really tripping off Tank, and that's what I'm saying. Tank, that's all he does. He sits up there and talk about, oh, somebody said something about his mama. This is a dude that threatened somebody's kids, which we all know Tank is a front runner. Tank ain't street savvy like that. Tank just be playing the shit. But then my thing is, you shouldn't even be saying stuff like that on the internet, threatening somebody's kids, because that will get you lined up. Them is beyond fighting words, talking about somebody's kids and all that kind of stuff. You ain't got no business talking like that. You ain't got no business talking greasy like that. That's some sucker shit right there. But Tank's fans will continue to defend him. This man then talked about Terrence Crawford's mother. He just said a lot of personal stuff. He tried to insinuate Devin's mother was a woman of the night, and that's not true because I've met Devin's mother. I lightweight know Devin's mother a little bit. So, yeah, not true. I find it ironic a dude have something to say about somebody's personal life when every time we look around, you getting arrested for beating up some bitch or something. You can't seem to keep your hands off these women. So, whatever the case may be, you need to try to figure how you gonna fix that, how you gonna navigate that, how you gonna keep you know how you gonna keep away and keep yourself out of these situations where you getting lined up or you sitting up there going into a police station to get fingerprinted because you keep having all these incidents with women. So Tank need to fix his own situation before he talks about somebody else. I mean, that man loved to put his grooming hand down. And like I said, this is a dude that had a hit and run with a pregnant lady and just left her and stuff. So Tank, like I said, Tank is lucky that he ain't sitting up in jail. And he didn't got pass after pass. And, whether some people behind the scenes made some phone calls to keep Tank out of prison and whatnot. It is what it is. He keep you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you keep, you know, man, for real. You can't always when you play dice, you're not gonna keep hitting seven straight rolls and stuff. Cause eventually you're gonna hit snake eyes, and that's apparently that's gonna eventually happen to Tank if Tank don't clean his act up. So that's the thing about Tank. And Tank, this is what he does. I wish Tank would have the same energy towards Teofimo Lopez that he had with all these black fighters. Teofimo walking around here, and I'm glad Tim Bradley called Teofimo out on that bullshit. Him and his monkey references and all that kind of stuff. Like Teofimo be tripping me out. Him and like a lot of these Latinos, and I'm just gonna say it. It's amazing. These people have a lot of these people had the same ideology as Caucasian people, because some of them fighting to be considered white. It's amazing how they sit up there and have the same talking points and try to slander and talk crazy about black people, but yet they had the audacity to feel like they entitled to go to streaming university, that's been put together by Cox. And I talked about, well, how come we not there? I don't understand that, but you the same people that say that you have all this fatigue towards black people. Well, if you have fatigue towards us, why you want to be around us? Oh, because you can benefit from being around us. So, I just wanted to put that in right quick. Make that make sense. You sit up here and have all this resentment, all this, you know what I'm saying, vitriol towards a group of people, but then you feel like you're entitled, that you should be included in anything that we put together. Make that make sense. Okay, it doesn't. So I just wish Tank would have that same energy towards Ryan Garcia, who said all that racist shit. And I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of these fighters make me sick to my stomach, and particularly the black ones that sit up there um, talking to Ryan Garcia. I wouldn't have nothing to say to Ryan Garcia saying that crazy stuff that he said, and a lot of these streamers and stuff. Ryan Garcia is not relevant. Nobody cares about, like, Ryan Garcia may have the most meaningless so-called 20 million followers ever. Because the funny thing is, when he fights, he doesn't sell tickets. Okay, they gave away a lot of tickets to his last fight. So I'm just keeping it 100. And then the rest that they didn't give away, they were selling for half off. They were selling his tickets for like $20 when he fought Barrios. So I'm just keeping it a buck. Um, but I wish Tank would be vocal towards those dudes. But you never see Tank beating his chest, going at Tiafimo and Tank and some of these other dudes that disrespect black men on a regular basis. But every time you look around, Tank is sitting up here talking shit and disrespecting another black man. So somebody need to go to G Money and ask him when he gonna have the same energy for those dudes. But he ain't gonna say nothing. So, you know, it is what it is. But anyway, I just wanted to speak on that right quick. Yeah, yeah, Tank, he ain't looking too good right about now. Like I say, the man is jealous of everybody. He saw the attention Devin Haney was getting. He comes out, oh, I want to fight Devin Haney. We knew you wasn't gonna fight Devin Haney next. And even when you do resurface sometime in 2027, we know you ain't gonna go directly into a fight with with Devin. Stop the cap. You probably ain't ever gonna fight Devin, Mr. Rehydration Clause. And I guess maybe I'll speak on the situation with Shakur Stevenson and Shannon Sharp. We'll have to see. Anyway, appreciate you guys. It's your boy Town. I'm out.